Speaker Abbas backs realistic push for women's seats in parliament. House of Representatives demands 10.4 billion naira refund from 29 MDAs. And reps okay $347 million extra borrowing for infrastructure. Hello and welcome to You and Your Reps, your weekly eye on the decisions, debates and directions from Nigeria's Green Chamber. Now this week, we track major moves on infrastructure funding, political inclusion and accountability in public finance. I am Victor, as we're glad to have you along. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has underscored the need to confront practical realities in the campaign for increased political representation for women. He made the remarks at the She Represents Town Hall Strategic Roundtable on the Reserved Seats for Women Bill, an initiative of the House in partnership with the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Foundation.
The event brought together a spectrum of stakeholders, including women leaders, civil society organizations, advocacy groups, and development partners engaging in meaningful dialogue on the legislative efforts to advance the bill. The speaker noted that empowering women brings unique perspectives, values, and leadership skills vital for effective governance.
We need a practical, acceptable, and workable formula that allows women to utilize existing campaign structures for governorship, Senate, and other elections. Let me restate the philosophy behind all this. The presence of more women in the legislative chamber is not charity. It is an investment in quality lawmaking.
Our demands are clear and credible. We seek inclusion in decision-making to shape resilient communities, to address issues that impact women and children.
Let us challenge ourselves to think creatively, act boldly, and collaborate effectively. Together, we can pave the way for a future where women are not just represented, but are leaders in decision-making processes.
Discussions focus on promoting women's representation in the Nigerian Parliament through the Reserved Seat Bill, understanding the Reserved Seats for Women Bill, and media advocacy strategy.
This bill has come to address so many things that have been troubling us, and it is possible for us to be able to address it without bloating the economy, without taking anybody's seat, without threatening anybody.
And this bill is critical because it speaks to the soul of Nigerian democracy. When women are at the table, budget reflects the need of families. Policies prioritize education, healthcare, and social protection, and governance becomes more inclusive, resilient, and responsible.
Participants at the event call for increased political will, stronger civil society engagement, and public sensitization to overcome resistance to gender quotas and ensure equitable representation of women in Nigeria's political architecture.
The House of Representatives has adopted the report of its Public Accounts Committee, which recommends that 29 federal ministries, departments and agencies refund a total of 10.4 billion naira to the National Treasury. Now, this followed the consideration and approval of the report at the Committee of the Whole during plenary.
The report of the House Public Accounts Committee had 20 recommendations drawn from investigative hearings based on the annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation for 2019 and 2020. The committee said it received and considered written and oral submissions of 60 out of 74 MDAs.
Government vehicles were taken away, 4 heads of MDAs upon their exit from office and are yet to be returned. Abandoned project observed in Nigeria Embassy in Sao Tome and Principe after spending 245 million in 2011. The project is at foundation level up till now.
The ranking member mentioned that this report may affect the jobs of certain people. So be it.
We must escalate this report for Nigerians to know the real people who are behind the problems that we suffer in this country as Nigerians.
It's not as if one is totally and finally indicted. This document goes to the executive arm for implementation.
Most of the countries in West Africa are considering 2024 report as we speak. We are still talking about 2029, 2020 report.
The House passed the 2025 appropriation bill of 1.48 trillion naira for Rivers State, clarifying that the budget is for the fiscal year and not just the period of emergency rule.
We can't do a budget for the next 2 months or 1.5 months remaining for the expiration of the emergency rule. When the House of Assembly is restored, they have the constitutional rights to take this budget and take a second look at it.
9 bills were passed at Thursday's plenary, including bill to amend the Federal Road Safety Commission Establishment Act to empower the commission with responsibility for road traffic administration and related matters. Several other bills also passed second reading.
To amend the Nigerian Defense Academy Act to provide for right of first refusal into the NDA specifically for successful NMS graduates.
Following an urgent motion, the House condemned the United States' decision to downgrade visa status for Nigerians.
Urge the United States Embassy in Nigeria to rescind the new visa policy decision and restore 5-year multiple entry visa regime previously granted to Nigerian citizens.
Coming under personal explanation, a member of the House called for clarity in court judgments.
Where a judgment of a court is subject to different interpretation by the parties, where the litigant says the judgment of the court says this, and the plaintiff says the judgment of the court says this, it is conflicting. And as members of parliament, Mr. Speaker, I think it is important for us to advise our judiciary.
At the close of plenary, lawmakers wrote tributes in honor of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
And the House of Representatives has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to amend the 2025-2026 federal government external borrowing plan. The amendment makes provision for an additional $347 million to support critical infrastructure projects. Now, the approved facility, conveyed to the House through the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, is aimed at bridging funding gaps in the government's external borrowing projections.
The amendment of the 2025-2026 federal government external borrowing plan guarantees additional financing to cater for the first phase of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project and the Nigerian Universal Communication Access project, expected to deploy 7,000 telecommunications towers across remote communities in Nigeria.
Nigeria Universal Communication Access project, the financing institution will be China Exim Bank, and the amount will be $300 million. Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, additional financing. The financing institution will be export credit agencies, and the amount is $47 million.
Also approved at the Committee on Supply is the 105 billion naira 2025 budget of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
75,554,656,281 naira 80 kobo is for capital costs.
A special valedictory session in honor of late former President Muhammadu Buhari elicited tributes of his life and times.
These reforms, debated extensively in this chamber, have enhanced the transparency and credibility of our elections.
His social investment and welfare program, the NSIP, consisting of the Empower, Trader Money, and a whole lot of other social welfare packages, benefited millions of Nigerians.
When it comes to health sector, I remember before his coming, we just had 3 tertiary institutions in the orthopedic section. He introduced Benin, Plateau, Jos, and Taraba, Jalingo.
I must commend our former leader, the late President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for signing the not too young to run bill into law. His death has therefore left a vacuum that would not be easily be filled.
Elsewhere, the House of Representatives Committee on Reformatory Institutions has visited the Nigerian Correctional Service headquarters in Abuja for oversight. Now, what they found was a system stretched and struggling despite good intentions. Their arrival revealed a familiar yet often overlooked reality, a correctional system battling overcrowding and limited resources. Controller General of Corrections, Sylvester Nwakuche, outlined ongoing efforts from rehabilitation programs to infrastructure upgrades, but did not shy away from hard truths.
You go and steal a chicken, they bring you into custody, they keep you for 3-4 months. The amount you used to feed you is 100 times more than the chicken you stole.
Since August 2024, the new rate has not been paid till today. The government has been paying on the old rate of 750, although with an assurance and promise that very soon they will begin to pay the new rate.
The inmate population keeps rising, but space doesn't. Food is stretched, vehicles for court moves are few, and facilities are aging.
JFCT alone covers over 100 and something courts. And how many vehicles do they have? They cover the courts in Kuje, in Kwali, in Buare, in Kubwa, in Nasarawa, some of the places in Niger, in Gudu, and even in the central area.
Chairman of the committee, Chinedu Oga, promised the issues will not be buried in files. He said the National Assembly will press for action.
We are going to have a resolution of the House, plead with the Speaker, to communicate to the Executive, to know what they can do to release money to correction service, and equally more intervention, because they are key to national security. And we're able to see some of the project implemented. The project is okay, but they need more fund to do what is right. Seeing what the CG have done, since he has owned the office, he have really done a lot. But the major issue is revolved about finance.
To truly reform, he said, the correctional system needs more than goodwill. It needs space, support, and investment. It's time for legislative terms and tools, and this week we are breaking down one word you hear a lot at the National Assembly: amendment. What does it really mean when lawmakers say a bill or a law is being amended? Let's find out.
The term amendments in Parliament refers to an attempt to alter a provision that has already been made, either in a proposed law or a law that is already existing. For instance, the 1999 Constitution always has amended, because it has been amended 1, 2, 3 times more. And we're in the process again of carrying out that amendment. A law is already in place. You look at it, the Parliament looks at it and says, with development in society, with new findings, with changes in life, this needs to change. So you bring an amendment to say, let's change this language, or let's change this provision in such a manner. Also, at the point where it's still a bill and being debated or on Parliament, on the floor of the House, or even a motion being debated on the floor, a member has a right to move that the prayers of a motion be amended, either, for instance, to include his constituency as a beneficiary of that motion, or to alter the prayer in such a way that is more nationalistic or more definitive, more operationalistic, you know. So members have the right to move for such alteration, to amend and give it a new lease of life.
And up next is our committee spotlight, where we focus on the behind-the-scenes work of lawmakers. This week, we are looking at Nigeria's global partnerships through the lens of the House Committee on Nigeria-China Parliamentary Relations. Chairman Jaafaru Yakubu shares how legislative diplomacy is shaping key areas like trade, tech, and training.
This committee is one of the friendship committees that were created to better relationship between Nigeria and China, to improve that bilateral relation in terms of economy, in terms of culture, in terms of education, to look at the threat balance between Nigeria and China, the volume of trade, to bridge that gap. And we are doing very well right from the inception of this committee. We have received a lot of delegation from the People's Republic of China, and we have that good relationship with the Embassy of China here in Nigeria. And we are doing well to better the image of Nigeria as a country, as a sovereign nation. It's all about trade. And this 10 Assembly want to take it into another level. I want to see where Nigeria and China will move from a trade relation to a developmental relation. Developmental relation, what I mean, not only trying to bridge the gap of trade between Nigeria and China. As at 2023, over $23,000 billion trade volume has taken place between Nigeria and China. Out of this $23 billion, only $3 billion was on the part of Nigeria as in terms of export. All other things are imports from China, about $20,000 billion. So we want to look at the concept of Brazil. How have they reached that level of import between Brazil and China? And we are talking with the Nigerian Embassy, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to see how we can unbottle that trade neck, to see the trade between Nigeria and China has been expanded. The bottleneck that is taking place in some of our commodities to be exported to China had been given waiver, even though as a result of the fuck up that has taken place in China precisely last year, September, November, where our President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in China with a very large delegation, and that visit has spoke volume in terms of trade and development, because a lot of strategic partnership plans have been signed between Nigeria and China, and these are part of things that we at the National Assembly will have to put a kind of legislative framework to back it for full implementation. Over billions of dollars was offered by President Xi Jinping to African countries, where Nigeria also is bound to enjoy that loan, those waivers, not simply because of anything, just to improve that relationship between Nigeria and China. Truly, Chinese are the best friends of Africa. That's my own perception. You can see through their activities of the Road and Belt initiatives. I don't need to tell you, you can look at our airport, seaport, the Lekki Deep Seaport in Lagos. All these are infrastructures done by the Chinese government through the BRI, that's the Belt and Road initiatives. And what we're doing in the National Assembly is to institutionalize those things through a legislative framework. That's why I said we want to move from trade to developmental partners. We want to have that transfer of technology. We want to look at the concept, the way Chinese developed from a poor nation to a developed nation. We want to see in 40 years what China turns to be. So we want to borrow that. I want to borrow that technology. We want to borrow a lot transfer of technology to Nigeria, and see how we can also, as a nation, develop to that level. So technology is very key, is very important when it comes to development, when it comes to Chinese modernization and development.
And with members now on annual recess, you and your reps stays on, keeping you in the loop on the issues that matter. I am Victor, as in thanks for watching and see you next time.